Welcome to the Amanda Hall mini workshop series here on Facebook Live every Wednesday afternoon, directly after my show out of the US of A on A1R Psychic Radio on Moonstruck TV. I'd like to welcome everybody here this afternoon, for those of you that are joining us again. And for those of you that might be new, that have just tripped across us, welcome. My name's Amanda Hall Psychic. I've been in the psychic industry here in Australia for over 40 years. I've been inducted into the Psychic Hall of Fame here, and for the 4th year in a row, I won Psychic of the Year here in Australia, voted by the public. So I thank everybody that voted for me. It's really lovely to have you all join us here this afternoon on this very cold, miserable Gold Coast afternoon. It's certainly not living up to its name today. It's cold, it's wintry, it's showery, and it's overcast. But hey, we're here and it's winter, and we've all got to accept, I suppose, the change of the seasons. I'm a summer person. I really do like the summer, and I'm not frightened to admit that. When it drops below 25 degrees, I think, oh, it's time to go somewhere warm and hot and sunny and tropical, because I like the warmer weather. But anyway, enough of my grizzling about the weather. We do need changes in the season, and we do need rain. It's very important. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome everybody here this afternoon. Let's get some T's and C's out of the road. It's a workshop series that I conduct every week here on Facebook Live for approximately 20 to 25 minutes. I do not perform private or free readings here on this little workshop. It's about education. It's about teaching you some skills that maybe you did not have, or maybe teaching you something that you may not know, and it may be something that you already know but you just have an interest in. So I'd like to welcome everybody here again. If you've just joined us, my name's Amanda Hall Psychic from the Gold Coast, and we're going to be working with the full moon in Capricorn this afternoon. And also I would like to clear up to a couple of other little things here. If you leave me a little message or wave and say hi, I will endeavour to get back to you in the next 24 to 48 hours. I don't sit here and constantly look at the screen and say hello to this one and that one. That takes my distraction away from the topic at hand. And I want this presentation to be something that you can follow and not be sort of interrupted by me waving to Mary and Sue and Bob and whoever else that might be joining us. And it's not that I'm being rude and ignoring you. I prefer to work with the topic at hand, and I will acknowledge it later for you. And as I said, in the next couple of days, I'll answer any question you might have on what we've talked about on the show, or wave and say hello to you and things like that. So let's get down to the show right away. We're going to be working with the full moon in Capricorn. So the full moon in Capricorn actually happens this month on the 28th. Now, why and how do we work with a full moon? Now, a full moon to me is a 7-day process. And people look at me and say, how can that be, Amanda? The full moon is only full for 2.5 to 3 days. How can you get 7 days out of that? I like to work on 2 days on the approach of the full moon. Let's allow 3 days for a full moon energy, and then allow 2 days on the tapering off or the winding down of the full moon. And that's why I like to work with it as being a 7-day process. It's something I've always worked with in my extensive career in psychic work, and I've been in this industry for over 40 years. So I do have a little bit of knowledge that I'm happy to share with you along the way. For those of you that don't know me, tarot has always been my passion. I've been fortunate enough to work with tarot all my psychic career. I've been fortunate enough to go on and write a series of books and design tarot cards and everything, and I'm affectionately known as the Tarot Master here in Australia. But tarot and then astrology has always been my secondary passion. I'm not going to say one's more important than the other. They both have an equal standing as far as I'm concerned in my work, because without one, the other wouldn't be as successful. So where tarot cards might give us a quicker, faster sort of answer because we're working with picture cards, I also feel astrology has a very valid place in my work because it gives me the definition. It gives me the precision. It gives me the definite dates, times, places. Why is this person feeling this way? Why is this happening in their lives? How long will this cycle be there? If you can give somebody a definite, this is going to finish on the 30th of August, then you've got something to write in the calendar and say, okay, strap yourself in. We've only got a little bit more time, and then, things are going to change. And this is why I like astrology so much, because it does give us this precision. And when you start to work with things like the moon cycles, which happen frequently, we have a full moon once a month and we have a new moon once a month, you start to understand the energies and the changes in your thinking, and why some days you get out of bed and you feel like you could take the world by storm, and another day you get out of bed and think, no, I just want to crawl back into bed and hide under the covers. I don't feel like facing the world today. And it is usually connected to the moon cycle. So with the full moon looming in Capricorn, This is a very, very interesting full moon, in as much as it's not really what I consider a personal full moon. It's not a time where we're really releasing pent up emotions, frustrations, letting go of things that we should be letting go of on a very personal level. It's more structured towards a bigger picture full moon. Yes, we're still releasing and letting go. Now, why do we say we're releasing and letting go on a full moon? I know some people don't believe that. Other people have other beliefs. This is my belief. This is what I've always worked with. When you go out and you look at up to the moon of a night and you see the moon becoming fuller and fuller and fuller, and some people say that you can see a man in the moon. Sometimes he's got a happy face and sometimes he's got a sad face. Sometimes there's a ring around the moon. Sometimes there's, the moon even changes colours. But when you see the moon full, it means it's full. We can't fit anything else into it. So if you imagine the moon being like a bucket of water, pardon me, if you've got a bucket of water and it's full and you try and add more water to it, what happens? It just overflows. So if you want to put fresh water in the bucket, you've got to empty some out. So it's the same with the moon. We've got to empty something out so that the moon can become full again, so that the moon can release. So this is what happens at a full moon. We empty some of our emotions, or we release something out of our lives so that we make way and we make space for new things to happen in our lives. The Capricorn energy really relates to things like government, big business, things that are official in our lives, not necessarily things on a personal level. So it's the time, and you might be saying to me, gee, Amanda, I've been really in this mood for a day or two now, where I've been really sitting down looking at my finances, where I've been looking at where's money going, where, money coming in, what bills I've got to pay. Is it time for me to change my telephone provider? I've been looking at maybe a different electricity company or a different gas company. I've been looking at my insurance policies. I've been questioning whether I've got the right medical team, doctors, professionals, dentists, things like that. Maybe it's time for a change. Maybe I don't feel that I'm getting to the bottom of a health issue that's been niggling at me for a while. Maybe it's time to see someone else, get a second opinion. These are all full moon experiences because it's asking us to question things, question the important areas in our lives. It's interesting here in Australia that it coincides with the end of our financial year at the end of June, where people are scurrying around trying to make decisions, particularly if they're in business, about making major purchases that they can write off or get the biggest write-off in tax incentives before the end of the financial year on the 30th of June. So it's like a real focus on that regardless. But the full moon makes it sort of more of an emotional time where they're maybe making purchases in business directed by their heart more so than the practical side of things. Yes, it's the practical thing that makes them look at the new purchase of the new tractor or the new car or whatever. But then the decision becomes quite personal as the heart becomes involved, the emotions become involved, and it's sort of like, well, it's an emotional / head decision that it's the right thing to do. So it's a time that I'm going to ask you to be a little bit careful with your money. Don't just go out and buy something to make yourself feel better. Look at it. Does it have a practical application? Is it really, really necessary? Is it something that you're going to get value for money out of? The same sort of thing if we're going to be releasing things like it's time to look for a new medical practitioner or a new doctor or a new dentist. Ask yourself the reasons why you're looking to do that. Why are you looking to change? Is it the fact that you feel that you've gone as far as you can go and you're not getting any progress? Well, then that's okay then to release that person from your life and start to look for someone new. But if you're going to look for someone new, I want you to write a checklist of the questions that you need to be asking. So that if you're looking for a new doctor, say a new general practitioner, what are the types of things that you're going to be looking for in that general practitioner? The things that you feel that are important to your medical history. They're the sort of questions that you ask the receptionist or ask other people, what's your GP like? How do they handle this? How do they handle that? And then make your informed choices that way. For some other people, it may be a time when they're looking to sort of go into business or maybe contemplating exploring or researching going into a business. This is a perfect time for that sort of thing, but make sure that you really look at the fine print and that everything is very, very structured, and don't just get excited about the possibility of being self-employed and how much freedom that's going to give you, because believe you me, being self-employed doesn't necessarily guarantee freedom and a lifestyle that we all aspire to. It usually quite often means you work twice as hard for less money than you did when you worked for wages, and you're the one that's responsible for everybody else. So think about it very carefully. So if we were going to be working with one of my candles, or any candle for that matter, but my candle is, this is a full moon candle, which is a candle that's been specifically designed to work with the full moon energy. We would be looking at writing our list of what we want to release or the things that we want to change in our lives. We would write 2 lists. We write a list to place underneath our full moon candle. Now, when you go to burn any candle that's in a glass container, might I suggest that you always put something between you and the surface of the table or the furniture that you're going to put it on. Glass can get very hot. The actual soy wax does not get hot, but the glass container does get hot. And particularly with these extra large candles, because they have to be made with a dual wick system, because with only one wick, you waste far too much wax. So there's a dual wick system. That means 2 wicks in the candle, as you can see there. So for me, I light one side one day and the next day I would light the other side. Now, the reasons I do that, because I feel that you get a much cleaner burn, you get a much longer time out of your candle. Instead of being approximately 60 hours out of an extra large candle, I can get up to 100 hours. So it makes it far more economical. And the reasons why I do that is that sometimes I've found with the change in temperature, and particularly if you live in a humid place like I do, the temperature can drop, 10, 15 degrees in a matter of minutes. As if we get a storm or something like that, the glass can't cool down in time and it can crack. So I found that way that you're least likely to prevent cracking of a candle with a drastic change in temperature with your candle. So that's the full moon candle, and that's been designed specifically to work with our full moon energy. At this time of the month, I would also be working with my earth sign candle, or the candle that represents the Capricorn energy, because I really want to intensify the Capricorn stability type of energy, the making changes in your life. This is the perfect time if you're looking to modernize your website or looking for a new website designer or somebody that's of a technical bent that, can handle things that you can't handle. This is the perfect time to be doing something like that, commencing this under a full moon. As I said, anything business, industrial related, big business, health related, things like that, where it's not necessarily a personal or an emotional sort of issue, but it's time where you're looking at authority figures in your life, whether they're doctors, dentists, lawyers, whatever. This is the perfect time to be picking a practitioner or somebody to work on a particular venture for you at this time, because you will look at it through very practical, logical, down-to-earth eyes, and you will ask the appropriate questions before you just actually engage their services, which is really important. So for those of you that might not want to burn a big candle, or might want to take something when you go traveling, you might want something small, we do have a travel pack here where you can choose any 3 candles from our 28 in the range. You can individualize this the way that you want your travel pack to be put together. This one I've made up this morning is 2 full moon candles with a earth sign candle in the middle, but you can make it up of any combination if you like. These only have 1 wick, and you'll get about 15 hours burn time out of each candle. For those of you that don't want to use a flame, but you still want to work with the energy of the full moon and the Capricorn energy, this is a melt warmer. You can buy these in the supermarket here in Australia for under $20. They are electric. You plug them in, they have a little switch on the side. There's no flame. I actually put about half a teaspoon of each in the melt warmer of a morning, again writing my list, placing the melt warmer, as you can see on the box. Underneath that, I put it on a coaster, but I've put between the coaster and the melt warmer, I put my list so that I've read it out aloud as I fire up my melt warmer, and I can comfortably leave that going in my office, in my home, unattended. Unlike candles, where we shouldn't leave them unattended, because, things can happen. They can, accidents do happen, and it's not the sort of thing that you want to leave burning when you're not there or that you're not in the same room. And it doesn't matter what sort of precautions that you take. I really do believe you should never leave a candle unattended. Now, we need to burn a candle between 15 minutes to 2 hours per day to get the maximum benefit of the intent, purpose, and direction that we're trying to bring into our lives. This is very, very important, because if we don't put the focus into it as we're lighting it or switching on our melt warmer, then we're going to minimize where our point of focus is going. And I believe the more intent or the more focus that we put into it, the stronger the releasing, or the stronger the intent, the purpose and direction becomes, because we've really, really focused on it. Now, for those of you that may not have my candles, or say to me, Amanda, they're beyond my budget at this point in time, any candle will do. as long as you put your intent into it. And look, there's been many times in my life where I didn't have a lot of money, and I didn't even have enough money, strangely enough, to say to buy them at the $2 shop. And I might have only had household grade candles in my work box, and that was all I could afford, and that's what I would use. And I would sit there and I would focus on the candle. So this is the candle. I would sit there and I would focus on it. I would meditate on it, if that's what you want to call it, but I call it focus. I would focus on that candle and what intent I was trying to put into that candle. What was the purpose of it? What is the direction I wanted my life to go? And I would focus on that for a good 5 minutes. Before I lit it, I would go through the usual steps, and then that would be how I would work with that. So, you know, I'm a big believer in we work with the tools that we've got. If you've got plenty of candles around the house that people have bought you for presents over the years, work with those first. Let's not waste anything. It's about looking after the environment, not creating more wastage. I believe things need to be used and enjoyed, and then we move on to other things. So for those of you that might want to purchase some candles, www.amandahallpsychic.com.au. When you get to the checkout, if you type in capital letters Facebook, you will find there you will get a discount. Here in Australia, we offer free postage on everything. For our overseas visitors, we can't offer that because the postage costs from Australia to around the world are exorbitant. So what we do offer is a flat fee. So might I suggest, if you want to buy a number of things, save up your pennies and do it all in one order, because it's a flat fee no matter how much you purchase. So I'm sorry that we can't offer free postage to our overseas family. It would be lovely if we could, but we just can't. It's just impossible. So it's really interesting as we continue on working with the full moon. I'd like you to sort of really focus on what you think that you need to sort of be looking at, or what do you need to be releasing, because there's a number of things that maybe might spring to mind, and it doesn't matter. They don't have to be in any chronological order. They can be in a number of different orders of, you know, it might be a website, it might be looking at my doctor, it might be getting a new motor mechanic for the car, it might be, do I need to buy a new car? You know, there's a lot of things, and they can be all diverse and different, but we can put them down all on the list. And they can be some things that are sort of now, and they can be things that are, you know, are a work in progress. That's okay, that's fine too. So when we look at working with the full moon, it is something where some people say to me, oh gee, I can't sleep, I feel listless, I feel tired, I feel itchy, I feel titchy, I go to the fridge, I want something to eat and I don't know what I want to eat, and it's sort of like I just don't feel myself. All I can say to you is just relax, go with the flow, knowing in a moment's time, an hour's time, tomorrow, whatever, you're going to feel better. It's momentarily. It's a thing that will pass, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're more empathic than somebody else because you have a reaction to the full moon and the person next to you doesn't. It's just some people are more sensitive to it than others. And sometimes we're more sensitive to a particular full moon, more so than we are. The full moon in Capricorn is one of those ones that I say that we're least sensitive to, because it is not so personal. Where if it's the full moon in Scorpio, everybody seems to have a really titchy time around that one, because the emotions are so intense and so strong that none of us sleep, and everybody's cranky and everybody's snapping and snarling at each other and sort of pleased when it's all over. So just be gentle with yourself, be gentle with other people around you. You will find, as we work through our workshop series, each week I cover a different workshop. We're up to 20 this week. The weeks have been flying away this year. It only seemed like yesterday we started our first one on love. You will find that if you, on the blurb, it gives you some information there of where you can catch up if you want to go back and look at previous workshops that we've done. I've set up a particular Facebook page for the shows that I do on A1R Psychic Radio and the workshops. They can all be found in one location. I will be endeavouring to answer everybody's questions. I've had a number of suggestions on workshops that people would like to see. I will be endeavouring to incorporate those suggestions in around the candle of the week. And next week, I'm pleased to say we're going to be working with the sun in Cancer. So each week we work with a different formula. You will find over at my website, I write a weekly blog that incorporates some of what we do here, and it talks about some of the things that are happening in the universe. So there's always something happening in the world. And at the moment, yes, like everybody else, I'm always evolving and changing and always looking at ways to improve things. If you would like to join our mailing list, go to my website again, www.amandahallpsychic.com.au. When you join up, you'll get the opportunity to have a free astrology chart emailed to you anywhere in the world. The value of the astrology chart is $30, and it's absolutely free. It keeps you as part of the psychic family here at Amanda Hall. And, you know, from time to time, we will have different offers that will only be going out to people that are on our mailing list. But it also keeps you up to date with what's happening on the show and, you know, what the next workshop's going to be and who was our famous singer that we worked on this week and what was the product that we featured for the week. So there's lots of things always happening. So until next week, I hope you have an absolutely awesome week. I do apologise for my voice. I've got a little bit of a chest cold, and I've been fighting back coughing all the way through this workshop, and I do apologise for that. But I'm sure I'll be on top of it by next week. I don't feel sick. It's just that I'm coughing up not such pleasant stuff. So until next week, enjoy the full moon wherever you are in this planet of ours, and be kind to each other, and know that life is to be enjoyed. It's not about wasting time. We don't want to get to the end of our life and say, I should have done this and I should have done that. Look at each and every day and live it to the fullest, and be kind to each other. And always put a smile on your face, even when you're talking on the phone. It's amazing how that beautiful smile does come through the phone. Until next week, have a great time, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.